Good day everyone, and I'd like to welcome you all to another module for Classic Literatures of the World. This is entitled The Takeoff. This is our first lecture module, since the previous one was an introduction to the whole course. And this time it's going to be an introduction on literature and literatures of the world. So let's jump right in. First of all, we'd like to define what literature is, because during our first meeting, our first online meeting, I remember some of you, if not a lot of you, actually defined or described the word literature as interesting, as creative, as a work of art, as an expression, okay, and a lot of descriptive words based on our activity last time. But how do we technically define literature? I'd like to dissect the definition of literature into its important aspects as follows. First of all, that it is a special kind of expression. It is actually a timeless expression. And when we say timeless expression, it remains relevant all throughout generations. And what does it express? It expresses significant human experiences. Significant human experiences. And that is the reason why literature is relevant to everybody, because it doesn't only express what, mere emotions of the writer, but they express significant experiences, human experiences. And how do they express, how do they deliver this expression? In words. Now, I want us to be careful, because a lot of us mistaken literature as only the written ones. We do not forget that from the definition itself, it says told in words, and therefore these words are spoken and printed or written. When we go back to the aspect of the use of words in literature in expressing these significant human experiences, these words are actually well chosen. They are arranged in a highly creative style. They are not just merely, put together and call the totality of it as a literature or as literature. But these words must be well chosen, and they are arranged in a highly creative way, and they are capable of engaging the reader's imagination. They are able to arouse the reader's imagination. Let's not forget about that. So when we say literature, again, it's not just an expression, but it is a timeless expression. What does it express? Significant human experiences. How do they express it? Through words. What kind of words? Well chosen, creatively put together, and able to engage the reader's or the audience's imagination. And of course, when we say words, they are both printed, or they are both written and spoken. So that's how we define literature. Literature, the word literature comes from the Greek word litera, and that means acquaintance with words. It's like being friends with words. And therefore, we now see the relationship or the significance of language in literature. That's why we cannot really separate the two, language and literature, because literature is made up of language, and it's becoming, from the etymology of it, it's being friends with words. And you have to be friends with words for you to use them in a highly creative way or style. Somebody could just write something and call it literature. But in actuality, there are characteristics of a work before it can be labeled as classic or as literature per se. First of all, it stands the test of time. That's why, from the definition itself, it's a timeless expression. No wonder why there are literary pieces that were written hundreds of years before Christ was even born, and yet people are still reading it. People are still studying that literature. Why? Because it remains relevant to us. It was relevant during that time that it was written. It's been relevant in the past generation, and still it is relevant today. Therefore, it stands the test of time. Hence, it is timeless. Second characteristic of literature, that it has universal appeal. When we say universal appeal, it cuts across differences of people from different places. So it breaks the boundary of time, hence timelessness. It breaks the boundary of space. No matter where you are geographically in the world, a piece of literature can touch you, will mean something to you. Third, it breaks the boundary of creed, religion, belief, faith. It doesn't really matter what you believe, because once you read or you experience literature, it's like saying literature treats everybody equally. It is relevant to people no matter what your profile is. It even breaks the boundary of culture and even gender, because you wouldn't say that a literature is only meant for women, because men could also appreciate it. They could, they might interpret it in a different kind of way, but it's still relevant to them. Third, literature offers insights into human nature and experiences. Because as I've told you in our first meeting, that literature is life. It depicts life, or it imitates life. And therefore, for it to be relevant, it really has to be something that the audience could relate to. Even sci-fi. You cannot say that sci-fi is not relevant to people, because people's imagination could go as far as it wants to. Alright? Now, it offers insights because it gives us, somehow, it gives us an explanation on why people act the way they do sometimes. Why people decide the way they do at times. How people behave at certain situations. How people react to different or certain circumstances. So it offers insights to human nature and experiences. The next one, the fourth one, is that it offers relief from pent-up emotions. Pent-up emotions, it's like, you've been holding this emotion for so long, and then you finally got a chance to let it all out. You finally get a chance to express your feeling to somebody, towards somebody. And that is an example of release of from pent-up emotions. And because you are able to relate to the people and to the character in the story, or in the persona in a poetry, whatever they feel, you somehow feel. And then towards the end, it actually gives you an opportunity to let it go. It's like saying, thank God it ended that way. Or, Oh, thankfully, the character was not that stupid as I thought he was. Okay? Release from pent-up emotion, or what we call catharsis. And we will discuss catharsis later on when we move on to drama. Okay. Fifth characteristic of literature is it actually involves it concerns the writer, the author, the creator of literature. Because remember the last part of our definition, it says words that are well chosen, arranged in a highly creative way, and are able to engage the audience's imagination. That is, or those are, all the responsibilities and more of a literature writer. It involves the conscious effort of the writer to choose his words discriminately in order to make his work creative. That's why sometimes it makes me sad when I listen to songs, because it seems like the composer or the writer of the song didn't put that much effort. But it has to be. That's why it's quite hard for you to be get the title of creative writer, because it's not easy to be a creative writer. Okay, so those are the 5 characteristics of literature. First of all, it stands the test of time. Second, it has universal appeal. Third, it offers insight to our to human nature and experiences. Fourth, it offers relief from pent-up emotions. And fifth, concerning the author, it has to be highly creative. Okay, so that's how we define and characterize literature.